too much thrust, using brakes a lot, can get more idle than idle? Well, consider using single-engine taxi if your company SOP or outside conditions permit. When the aircraft is not in such unusual operation environments such as uphill slope, slippery taxiways, high gross weight, it may be advisable to taxi in one engine. The pilot must exercise caution when taxiing in one engine to avoid generating excessive jet blast. One-engine taxi procedures described in your FCOM Part 30490, supplementary techniques, one-engine taxi for departure and for arrival. Today I will show you single-engine taxi procedures using FS Labs A320 International Air Engines V2500. In the United States, a lot of companies use single-engine taxi for departure as well as for arrival, especially in those huge Class Bravo airports such as Chicago, Kennedy, and others. In comments below, please describe how it is in your country. What are the benefits of using single-engine taxi procedures? Is by saving fuel, of course, saving brakes. Those are two major benefits. Saving fuel is common sense, but I will go with saving brakes in more detail. You probably have already noticed that in this model, and of course the real aircraft as well, just like that, I sound like this guy.
Like that, and do it like that, and do it like that, like that, and do it like that, and rest, maybe for 40 seconds or 1 minute, like that, like that, like that.
I got carried away for a second there. So in real aircraft, the same as like FS Labs, you don't need a lot of thrust to start taxi. You just need a little bit. And sometimes when you have tailwind, it will just move on idle. So in conditions when you have a lot of aircraft in front of you, or let's say it's down slope or something like that, you have to ride brakes a lot, and that will overheat your brakes. It will not overheat them completely, but it will create higher temperature of the brakes and will prevent you for takeoff. It will prevent takeoff pretty much. Now this is not as bad when it's your first flight of the day, or aircraft has been shut down, has been standing for a long time. Now, but if you're doing turnaround, which is you came back to the airport and in 30 minutes you have to go to the next airport, which is in 90% of the flights, you will get, your brakes will be still hot from your landing, and then you'll be taxiing and you overheat them. The second part is that they wear a lot when you use the brakes, so they wear. So the company policy, they want to save money on those things, so of course save money on fuel, so they have you taxi on single engine. And once you learn how to do it, you will be using it a lot, especially in those large airports. I use it anytime I can pretty much, but you have to keep in mind a few things, and we'll discuss which things you have to keep in mind. Now, your before start flows are just like regular, any type of normal flight. There's no change in that. Things start changing when you start the engines. So unlike starting number 2, you start number 1, and I will explain why. Before you actually start number 1, you have to take a look at your brake acupressure, and if it's low, it's located below, right next to the landing gear lever. And if it's low, you have to use electric pump, a yellow electric pump, to pressurize the brake accumulator. Now, you start from engine 1. Why? Because the engine 1, for taxiing, it pressurizes the green hydraulic system, nose wheel steering and normal braking without using the PTU. So you don't want it to bark all the time. And don't you get tired of those barking dog / PTU jokes by some random passengers while traveling on A320? I think it's babies and jokers about PTU should be banned from flying A320. There's always some comedian behind you talking about
You got a dog in the cargo.
ejection. There should be ejection button where you just like the buttons you press to call the flight attendant. It should be ejection buttons where you just like eject your passenger behind you or something like that. All right. So after you start number 1, you do a regular after start procedures, except you keep your APU running to avoid additional electrical transients and allow the galley to operate, and you don't turn on wing anti-icing or engine anti-icing, and don't do ECAM status checks. Right. So you switch your cross bleed to open, turn off APU bleed, and turn on yellow electrical pump to normalize the yellow hydraulic system. Sometimes you can kind of press it. Yeah, there you go. And that way you hear that high-pitched noise. The rest of it is normal taxi procedures. It will need just a little bit higher thrust on to get moving. But when you move, you will not be riding brakes as much, and you'll see that. You'll notice that. So straight taxiway speeds are 30 knots usually. They do 25, 30 knots, and on turns it's 10 knots for Airbus A320, of course. And if the conditions are wet, it's always half of that. So it's 15 on straight taxiways and 7 on turns. So as you can see, we applied a little bit more thrust to get moving. Why you turn off the APU bleed? Because if the air gonna get sucked in by APU bleed system, then you'll get some exhaust from your engines for your passengers, and they will not like it. Also, I did a little mistake. You should use a little bit more thrust before you go into the turn, because it will slow down drastically and it will happen just what happened right now. So I actually stopped because of that. So before you turn, apply a little bit more thrust and then just keep rolling. Now we have a wind from the tail, and it's pretty much straight taxiway, so we can do we can start the second engine. And remember, before your takeoff, after start of the engine, it should be 3 minutes at least if the aircraft was if the engines were operated 2 hours prior to that, and 7 minutes if they were cold and dark for more than 2 hours. So keep that in mind, because you will have a warning in this aircraft by low temperature, low oil temperature. And if you take off with low oil temperature on your engines, you'll get a thermal shock for the engine, and it's not good. So when you start the second one, you switch off, yellow electrical pump off, APU bleed comes on, and the just like normal engine 2 start procedures, your start switch to ignition, and just start it up. But when you start the second one, when you start the engine number 2, don't use brakes while you taxi, because you already turned off your yellow pump. So as you can see, we don't have to ride brakes a lot. We're taxiing normal ground speed, normal speed 24. Now, once it starts, it will go faster. We want to go faster. So now we're approaching the runway there. And then after the second engine start, you do a regular flight control check, and then do the ecam memo status check. Right now, of course, the ecam memo will blink because the number 2 is still a low oil temperature. And I'll show you. See, it gives me caution light. Press recall. Again. Yeah, you see, it just beeped, and it says engine low oil pressure, oil temperature. So technically, I would have to wait like 2 more minutes in order for takeoff, but some companies use 5 minutes, depends. If it's first flight of the day, it's 7 minutes, since the number 2 start. It doesn't mean that your light will be still on, but you still will have to wait a little bit more. Now, this procedure is also good when you're taxiing to your de-icing pad. I mean, you have to shut down engines at de-ice pads, so why start 2 if you can taxi on 1, if the conditions permit again. Your gross weight should be not high gross weight and not slippery conditions outside. Okay, so that covered today's tip for Airbus, and I will just do a takeoff just for the hell of it. You guys sit back and enjoy, subscribe, thumbs up, and write in comments what you want to see in next video, probably on what aspect should I be more concentrated.